Welcome back, you filthy Titan Quest players. And yeah, today, obviously, we just had the showcase and announcement, and I'm recording this a little bit earlier because I actually had a creator pack sent to me for Titan Quest. And so I am a super keen TQ player. And I was playing TQ when it wasn't cool to play TQ, when there was no Diablo 3 and everything else. And of all the games that I remember when I was a broke uni student, Titan Quest was one of my favorite ARPGs of all time. Now, obviously, the old game is now dated. Fortunately, we have Titan Quest 2, and fortunately, I have some information about the reveal that likely they put in the reveal, but they've also extrapolated it for content creators to provide some more information to the community. Just a precursor here, I will be featuring Titan Quest on the channel moving forwards because I love Titan Quest, and we'll be doing a combination of Path of Exile 1, 2, and Titan Quest moving forwards on the channel to try and split it around. But let's get into some of the information that otherwise may not have been covered or may have been covered about Titan Quest 2 that you might want to know, because if you're an ARPG fan like me, you're going to get into this game and it's probably going to be absolutely fantastic because everything I've seen so far seems absolutely mental. Also, the game looks amazing and the storyline looks good. It's just everything about it looks... Also, just before we get into the further details about the game, don't forget to like and sub to the channel, the Twitch, and all the other good stuff. And yeah, we'll be doing a lot of TQ, PoE 1, and PoE 2 moving forwards. We have PoE 2 league testing and still working on a build in PoE 1 at the moment. And obviously, we're going to have to play Titan Quest 2 because that's just the inevitability, right? And there's also going to be Battlefield 6 on the Twitch streams moving forwards as well because I love Battlefield and it looks amazing. And yeah, I'm really excited about gaming at the moment because there's some good stuff coming out. Okay, so off the cuff, just some general information about the early access that we have is that they don't recommend trying multiplayer just yet. It is currently experimental, so right now it's going to be a bit of a single player experience. Approximately, there's 20 hours of playtime for one walkthrough with any character that you choose. There's going to be included in the early access 4 masteries, 37 active abilities, 55 passive abilities, which is pretty cool, and over 300 ability modifiers, which are basically the same as like support gems in Path of Exile if you look at it like that. There's going to be 3 factions and over 50 enemies with 6 boss fights. I'm interested to see how faction systems work in this game. 9 mainline quests will be included, 14 side quests, and 22 world events. How Titan Quest works is basically you have like active world events and things like that, or special areas. Think of it like the secret areas out of Doom. There's going to be included an initial 200 weapons, over 100 pieces of armor, 20 legendary items, which seems like not a lot at the moment, but it's in very early access. And there's going to be a 32 character preset function as well, which we will find out more when we get to play with that. And over 50 overworld locations and over 10 caves and dungeons to explore, which I would assume is the end game at the end of the day. So there's not a too bad of amount of content for this game. Obviously, this has been in a little bit of development over the years, but yeah, it's looking like the foundations for something pretty significant at the end of the day, and I'm pretty excited about it. Now, update frequency was another one that they mentioned here. So the game will receive major updates about every 3 months, so very similar to Path of Exile. These updates will include new masteries, new content chapters, a character creator as well is going to be added, new supporting gameplay features, and a lot of other stuff will be added over time. In between the major updates, they have smaller updates planned. Some will be significantly impactful against core mechanics as they identify the need. They'll implement hot fixes when necessary, along with regular small bug fixes and balance changes updates too during the process. They'll update the roadmap accordingly and basically update timing as needed. So everything will be subject to some form of change over the development and early access period. But overall, they've got a pretty clear plan as to how they're going to attack content updates for the community, which is really good. I actually really like this. They're actually really planned around, and they seem to be experienced around how to deliver such a game, which is a good breath of fresh air at this stage for an ARPG. They also noted here around the reasoning why they're doing an early access for the Titan Quest 2 game at the end of the day instead of just doing a full launch. They decided early access was the best format to develop the game and also basically go back to the community and determine how mechanics should work properly. So they are going to use the community as a bit of a foundation for how the game's going to be delivered and how it's going to create a really good player experience. I think this is a good step, and it's just like moving in lockstep with how a lot of other small indie devs and or other ARPG creators are going now. The really like people want to play ARPGs that are made by the community because then they suit that market that they're coming out for. And at the end of the day, Titan Quest is one of these nostalgic, behemoths that, for all of us older ARPG players, we really want to share with the newer player base and whatnot. It very much looks like a fantastic game, and this is the right mindset to take when releasing the game as well. I'm not being paid to say any of this. I'm really excited for Titan Quest 2, I'll reiterate, and I think this is a good approach. Now, the question of will there be microtransactions down the road? They've confirmed that there will be no microtransactions. So, Titan Quest 2, like Grim Dawn, like the original Titan Quest, will be a full game experience. So basically, you buy the game, you get everything in it. So it's not going to be an MTX store or anything like that, or free to play. But we'll see how that plays out over time. They don't rule out expansion packs. Like we even saw, like even up until like the recent years, Titan Quest 1 was getting expansions like 20 years or 15 years after it was like at its peak with its Immortal Throne expansion. So I wouldn't be surprised if they release like an annual expansion or something like that. Am I negative to that? Not at all. I think that's not a bad idea. And it'll also keep the game fresh and moving forwards. And also, like, it's one of those things where, okay, well, do you want the game to continue and proceed into the future? It's like, well, at a point, the community may want to afford funds to the studio to be able to keep the game moving forwards. And it sort of seems like the play with the way that a lot of other ARPGs work, like, Last Epoch and Path of Exile 1 and 2 and all that sort of stuff where really like there is an expansion series and things like that that goes with those games. So I'm not negative. If this game is good, and you pay the initial premium, like you should get everything in the game with that premium that comes with it. But I think like for further content down the track, if you want bigger and better expansions, then and you're getting the value out of the game at the end of the day. I'm not negative to like spending an extra $20 on an expansion every now and again, things like that. But it is good to see that they're not just going default microtransactions straight away and charging a premium on top, like another certain game that we all know and probably aren't playing anymore from a very big developer studio. So, final release date. They said here the final release will depend on the early access phase. Right now, they're targeting the end of 2026. With the goal to deliver a roadmap of updates to the best possible quality. So basically, Christmas time, I would say this would hit the end of early access, and they may even tee it up to compete against, for example, Path of Exile 2. That'll be really interesting. But as an overall, that's really awesome. I've been waiting for this game for years, literally like a decade plus. I've been waiting for this game. So yeah, no, it's really cool to see that they're really like putting the dev effort into it, and even like seeing the progress where it's at now to where it was previously is amazing. So I'm pretty excited, and we've only really seen very low level play. We haven't seen anything that gets close to endgame, which is another really important thing that I'd note. Titan Quest 2 will be on console, so on the 1.0 launch, they're planning to put it out on PlayStation and Xbox at this stage. Right now, as far as other PC platforms as well, so right now it'll be on Steam and the Epic Games Store, but they are going to make it more widely available over time. If it's anything like the original Titan Quest, you'll be able to get it on mobile phone at some point in time. I'm not saying that's not in their pack that they've provided me, but that's where TQ1 went, so they may well pretty much get to that point. So as far as the multiplayer experience, it is a multiplayer game, and that will be available on the on the EA, but it is going to be a little bit buggy at this stage. So basically, yeah, they're going to be working on that as part of the early access. So if you do have a bad experience in that, it's going to be basically, because it's still in dev. And they also note that it does have co-op, and it will be 4-player co-op mode as well, which is really cool. Now, character customizer was something that has been a lot of critical, I guess, reports for Path of Exile has been made around the fact that you can't customize your character. They will be introducing a full character, a character customizer or creator into the future as one of the first major updates in the early access. So they've confirmed that yeah, that is coming to the game. So you will be able to do that in the next iterations once we get past the initial EA launch in the next day. Now, in relation to mounts and pets, there's no mounts or pets that are going to be added to the game. They figured that it would significantly impact the way that traveling works in the game and some other core game mechanics. So at this stage, they haven't confirmed that they will be putting pets or mounts or anything into the game. Now, as far as masteries, how many are planned? Currently, they have an uncapped number. So it's just going to be as time progresses, they'll continue to add more to the game and build it out. And so they've said basically they haven't finalized the number of masteries, and they'll probably add additional masteries through major DLCs or expansions over time as well. So this is just an area like Path of Exile, like Diablo. I don't even think they've added more skills in Diablo 4. But but like Last Epoch and games like that, they'll add more as time progresses and the EA progresses. Now for PvP, there's going to be no PvP. They've confirmed they have no plans for PvP at this stage. What will the endgame content look like? Endgame will feature, as they've got it here, a dynamic and repeatable experience to strengthen your character after completing the main content. Don't know what that means though. We'll provide updates to the community during EA as they shape this, and they're going to do it with the community. So I would say it'll be some form of mapping system. That usually tends to be the way that it goes. Like you look at the Last Epoch endgame system with echoes and things like that. It'll likely be something very similar to that in combination with like how Path of Exile's mapping system works, I would suspect. Like this would be a game where like the Path of Exile 2 endgame currently would actually work really well. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out. I'm really hopeful, but it looks like we're going to get a full endgame with endgame progression and everything else. So we can do that master endgame farming. I'm going to be there for it because I think this game is going to be fantastic. And I'm super excited. I like the themology of it too. Ancient Greece is awesome. And the fact that it's more grounded and less like sometimes you want to play that mythological sort of like ARPG experience, and this sort of just it gets to that itch. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. It's going to be really cool. So they asked the question, will there be a shared stash this time? So this is where you have one stash that you have for all characters. They basically said it'll be an enhanced version of the Titan Quest 1 caravan system, which will be introduced early in the early access phase. The basic version will be available from start. So basically, you'd have a caravan in Path of Exile, not Path of Exile, I keep saying Path of Exile, in Titan Quest 1. And that would be like a caravan is like the dude who holds all your gear, and basically that'll be your shared stash. And I would say that like a lot of the things that are coming out right now with the way this game's looking and what they're saying is very consistent with the original game. And that's actually really good because I really, really like the original game. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it too much. So to see that they're basically taking old systems from the original game is absolutely fantastic. They asked the question, will a transmog system be added? And the answer is yes. They currently plan that for the first half of 2026. So that'll be next year, which is pretty good. So yeah, I'm not surprised by that. That's pretty common in most ARPG systems. It'll be interesting to see if they then stick with we're not going to add MTX to the game or anything like that. But we'll have to sit and wait at this point. But yeah, there will be transmogging, which means you can change the skins on your weapons and gear and stuff like that. Now, the last question that they answer here is, will there be mod support? Right now, there's limited data to support modding initially, but they're interested to monitor community interest, and they may support it into the future. Obviously, they use the Unreal Engine for Titan Quest 2, so we'll see where they get to with that. There was a very big modding community for the first Titan Quest, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get one for Titan Quest 2 at this stage, but we'll just have to see where that plays out. But it is good to see that they're considering. A lot of other ARPGs are like live service games, and it'll be interesting to go, is this a live service game or is this just a standalone ARPG? I think this is more on the standalone side, but it'll be really interesting to see how they do that. I don't necessarily think that this will be like a game where big amounts of trading will occur, but that's also something that they haven't really answered any questions around, like how character trading will work or anything like that. It would be cool to see, but I just don't think this is the type of game that will do that. This is more like the game that you're gonna like put hours and hours into and sort of solo self-found your way through builds and things like that. And I'm not negative to that because I think that's a lot of fun. If there's a way to target farm, things like that, that'd be really good to see as well. But overall, I think like where this game is going is pretty cool. I've not been this excited about game releases in a very long time outside of Path of Exile. So it's good to see such a cool game with such a cool, themology and concept come back into the market and just like power forwards at the end of the day. Okay, so I hope that's enough information. If it wasn't covered in the early access announcement, then yeah, it's covered in this video. And I'll be live streaming this over the weekend as well, because as I said, I've got access into the early access. I think the early access when it drops That'll be available for everyone. I think it's an open early access, so basically anyone can get into it. Don't quote me on that. I haven't watched the announcement at this stage. I haven't seen it either. But as an overall, I think this game is going to be pretty cool. And it looks like the direction they're going is to keep it as, I guess, loyal to the original vision of what Titan Quest 1 was as possible, which is something that I prefer because I really loved Titan Quest 1. And it's good to see that like developers are now just coming out with games that, you know, are made for the player more so than just like a revenue raising exercise. And I feel like this game is like a labor of love more than it is like, oh, we need, like, obviously everybody needs to focus on how, you know, how you get the money in the door to make the game better. But at the end of the day, it's good to see that it's made by a bunch of devs that really do care about the original IP and want to maintain that as best as possible. And the game just looks and feels like the original game, just brought up to a current day iteration. Anyway, if you like this video, don't forget to like and sub. And we'll also be covering off on a lot more content moving forwards around Titan Quest as need be. Obviously, Path of Exile 2, the 0.3 patch is coming out soon, so we'll be doing league testing, probably on artillery, ballista, or something of that nature. And we've got to finish off our Gladiator discharge build for Path of Exile 1 as well. And probably play Battlefield on the live streams because Battlefield looks dope. And I'm probably considering doing at least a couple videos on that at this stage. But anyway, until next time, I'll see you guys later and have a good one.